you for coming up. Thank you for coming up. Yeah, guys, I know it's scary, but like I said, I'll chat with you guys. You got questions on my worldviews or disagree? I'd be happy to have a conversation with anyone.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, man? What's your name?
Hey, name's Josh. Joshua Williams.
What's up, Josh? How are you?
Um, Decent. How about you?
Good, good, good. I
Good.
like your shirt.
Appreciate it. Wanted to ask you about your main selling point. Women deserve less.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit on the first couple chapters of the Bible, Genesis 1 through 5.
Yeah, if you could go through it quick, though, because we don't want to do a Bible study here, man. We got to keep it moving. But, yeah, go ahead.
I personally believe that if we can, that the Bible is the center point of all life because it is God's divine word, and that the shirt only Jesus. When you focus on Jesus and you have Jesus centered on everything, not necessarily Jesus first, but Jesus centered, everything is going to change. Your whole life is going to change. Your whole ideology is going to change everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to focus on Jesus' creation, his perfect creation, when he created male and female. When you see all of his other creation, he says that he saw that the day and night he saw good. He saw it well. But when he talks about creation, man and female, he says it is very good. He takes it to another level that humankind, that his creation of man and woman is much different than the rest of his creation, and that they are created in God's image. So, being that they're both created in God's image, both man and female, how do you say that women deserve less when they're both created in God's image?
Well, when I say that, I mean as in the man needs to be the leader, right? And the Bible obviously talks about this too, right? It goes God, man, then woman. My problem is when I say women deserve less, I mean it's vague on purpose, right? Depending on the context that we're talking about here. But in this regard, when it comes to having a family, being married, etc., it means that the man needs to be the leader, right? Now, I think the problem is that a lot of guys go into relationships thinking that their woman is equal to them and they can split the check and all this other stuff. I'm a big proponent of the nuclear family. I don't think women should work. I think men should be bearing that burden. But the problem is that we have this egalitarian mindset where we're telling men to treat their women as equals, and that's just not how it goes. I'm a big proponent. If you have the authority, if you have the responsibility of taking care of her, you should also have the authority over her to tell her what to do.
Okay.
Because let's be honest here, all the Abrahamic religions know that when you leave a woman to their own devices, they fuck up.
Mm-hmm. So now, talking about Abrahamic religions, we're going to focus on the Old Testament and how the Old Testament is based on the covenant with Moses, and how that the law, the first 5 books of the Bible say that the man is to be the leader, which is
Yeah,
shown
and that's all I'm getting at when I say
which
that.
is shown in Romans. Romans says that, and I may be quoting wrong, so forgive me if I am quoting wrong, but the New Testament says that the husband, the man, is supposed to love his family and his wife the same way that Jesus loved the church.
Yes, but see, we're kind of at the finish line right now. Before we get to that point, you need to identify the women that are even worthy of being a wife. And because I like what you're saying here, right? Like, again, I believe in a nuclear family, and I think that as a man, it's your job to protect, provide, and provision. But the problem is that most women simply don't deserve that nowadays, right? A lot of girls are promiscuous, bad habits, don't respect male authority, but they want you to wife them up. And I'm telling guys, don't do that. You got to vet women out in the beginning very hard, because thanks to modernity and feminism, what's happened basically is like all the training wheels that society had to keep things in place and keep things in check are gone. We used to have Christianity. We used to have shame. We used to have the church. We used to have strong-knit communities. But now, that's all out the wayside. So since we have removed these social training wheels, what's ended up happening is we have this deregulated sexual marketplace where a lot of women are just not worthy of being a wife. And I want guys to focus on, like, when you do identify the woman that's worthy of being your wife, then obviously you give her the world. I'm not saying not to give her everything, but she has to earn that. And that's the problem, is that we just think that girls should get things for having a vagina. And I'm here to say, like, no.
And I would say to not necessarily add on, but just add on to my point, I say with women that may be deemed as not wife material, I personally feel that that's when you get down on your knees, you pray, and you say, Jesus, help these people. That
Yeah, you could pray for them.
It's just the same way that when Jesus died on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, look, you could pray for them, but my thing is, let's be honest here, man. Jesus can't even save a lot of these hoes. What makes you think you're going to do it? So that's the reality.
I just feel like I never want to lose hope on humanity, because once you lose hope in humanity, that's when things start going.
Pray for them, but what I'm saying is you
down.
don't have to invite that to your house to destroy your household. Pray for her, but, like, don't let her. Look, one of the worst things a man can do, and this is going to be taboo, but I'm going to say it. One of the worst things you can do is wife up a whore. So, because wifing up promiscuous women will absolutely destroy your life as a man. So my thing is, you could pray for them. Obviously, you wish well upon them, but that doesn't mean you need to invite her into your life where she's in a position where she could utterly destroy you.
Okay.
Especially with the way the family courts are run and the way that child custody works and alimony and everything else like that. Like, guys have to be very cautious and careful with who they marry. And they need to reserve it for the women that are worthy. Because, unfortunately, it's not 1955, it's 2025, and women have changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. For the worse.
Yeah. I think that just comes back to once you have your family, once you have the wife that God has set aside for you, that's when you lay down the law and you say, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
I agree. But you got to find the woman that's even worthy of taking that journey with. And what I'm saying is most don't qualify.
And then that's when I feel like you fall into that cycle that you pray. Like,
yeah.
You don't necessarily agree with what they're doing. You may not. Your soul, your flesh, you might not. You might not feel like that they deserve prayer. But when you are focused on God and you focus on Jesus, Jesus will lead you to pray for these people. And it may not change, but when you hold out hope and you pray, you change as a person, and people around you see that.
Fair.
And they recognize that you're different.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
No worries, man. Thank you. Any other takers on why women deserve less? Oh, man, here we go.
Okay.
Hello.
Do I deserve more or less?
Are you a man or a woman?
I'm asking you. Do I deserve more or less?
Well, probably less.
Even now, when my voice is lower than yours.
Even less now. I knew something was off. Saw that Adam's apple. I was like, oh, here we go. What was that? It's oil in my beard? Color correct. All right. Man, my feelings are hurt. I don't even know what that thing said.
Yeah, I'm not
That
saying
creature.
hello to you, so let's just skip the pleasantries.
Sure.
So why are you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can someone help her?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it.
So are your views on women based on data or personal rejection?
Here we go. The whole you're an incel thing. Okay.
Because on a podcast about 2 months ago, didn't you just say you got your first girlfriend and you're like 30?
Wow, she really thinks that's a known. Number one, I've had a girlfriend now for a few years,
I'm
not
so
2 months. And it's an open relationship. I do what I want, and she's closed on her end.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, look at all the people here going crazy. So here's the reality, right? So let me give you guys a biological reality here.
What does this have to do with my question?
Women-
I'm asking if your views come from data or rejection, because someone had to hurt you for the way you feel about women.
Oh, so I have to be hurt to be able to establish and tell the truth.
Well, yes.
That's interesting.
Sorta, kinda. Was it your mom?
No, actually, you know what's funny? It was my mom that warned me about these hoes. Yeah. It was actually my mom.
So you and your mom are birds.
Me and my mom are birds?
Yeah. Bird brains.
All right, interesting. Do you actually have an argument, or do you just want to make ad hominems?
No, I'm just asking questions. You have yet to answer my question.
Well, it
Is
sounded
it
more like a
based on-
statement since we're both birds, right?
Well, are your views based on data or personal rejection?
Yeah, they're based on data, obviously experience, anecdotal, talking with almost 4,000 women now at this point. So, you know, and I think every guy here, right, though they might not admit it, would love to have a setup where they have a girlfriend that loves and admires them and respects them, obeys them, and he could go ahead and get other women and she's closed on her end. And this is what I was trying to say. Once you reach a certain level of status and you have your stuff together, you'd be amazed at what women will tolerate when you're that guy. So I want every guy to be at a point where if you want to be monogamous to your woman, you can, but if you also want to have other women, you can. And that's what I think keeps you attractive, because women only get in line when you have other women in line. Now, I know that... What was that?
He said you're not welcome on campus, prick.
Oh, look at this guy. Nice jorts. Nice jorts.
Hey, I have another question. Do you know who invented Wi-Fi? Like the technology for Wi-Fi?
Let me guess, a woman?
Well, yeah. So if it wasn't for a woman, your podcast, you wouldn't have one, and it wouldn't have gotten demonetized.
Oh, good one. Yeah, so here's the thing. We do direct connect on our pod, so
I don't care.
Wi-Fi is... Oh, now it's I don't care. Okay, great.
Hello, sir.
Make sure to hit the gym as well.
Sir. Hey,
Hey, just being honest, man.
sir.
You're... Yeah, look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Sir,
hey,
if you're here to
the
have
girls
a
aren't gonna fuck you,
conversation,
man.
I'm trying to have one with you.
Like the girls aren't gonna fuck you, bro. White knighting is not gonna do it.
Okay, hi. Would you like to have an actual conversation?
This is fucking awesome. All right, what are you gonna say? Go ahead.
All right, here. I'm here to have an actual like debate with you, okay? I'm not
Sure.
here. I'm not here to antagonize you or villainize you. I want to understand you, and I hope maybe you'd want to understand me. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
So what I want to understand is your viewpoint that women deserve less, or that you think men deserve more?
Well, two things can be true, right?
Okay.
So I think guys need to be in a position where they are the dominant and the leader in the relationship.
So I would like to understand why exactly do you think that? Is it what is causing this? Is it like an instinctual thing? Do you think it's based off biology, psychology?
What in
religion,
particular?
belief? Like the idea that the man should be dominant. What is the backing thought process for this?
Well, it's how society has thrived for centuries. You know, the man is the head of the household. He's a leader. He protects and provisions. And this is how we've been able to build up the society we enjoy now. And it's only with modernity and feminism that women have been able to kind of do the things that they do. But at the end of the day, I would argue most women want a traditional man who's going to be a provider, going to be a protector, and adhere to these traditional masculine traits.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about this, sir, if you don't mind. So
Sure.
what would you say that over time, generally speaking, with how society has come, how culture has come, to where we are at this current point, are you content with how the world is today? With society, are you happy with how society has turned out? What exactly, do you have any issues with modern society?
Well, I mean, look, obviously there's pluses and negatives, but I
course.
do think that modernity has led to the overall degradation of society. It's because we don't prioritize the family anymore.
So is the issue less that women deserve less, or that we should put more of a focus on traditionalism within the family?
Well, that's kind of the same thing from before. Again, men need to be in a different position now where they need to be able to vet out women properly for them to be their wives. Because the thing that sucks for guys now is that most women want to be married, but they're not necessarily wife material. Everyone wants to get married, but no one wants to be a wife is basically what I mean. So I think, well, you're a lesbian. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, anyway, so yeah, that's what I think it is. Guys need to really focus on the family, but before they can even do that, they need to be able to go in with their eyes wide open with how society is and how we're playing the dating game, because we have more to lose.
Okay, so I understand where you're coming from.
Sure.
I think it makes sense that you would like to have women would be able to be mothers, would ever be able to be wives. If a man is being a provider, clearly you would want something in return, right? I mean, like,
Yeah, to obey me.
oh, I don't. If you want people to hear you out, I don't really think obey would be the best word to use. I mean, like, obey kind of implies that there's a lack of free will and thought. Would you think?
Interesting. So you say there's a lack of free will there, but is there? I mean,
with the term obey, like the connotation that it provides when you say the word obey.
yeah, because here's the thing. I find it interesting that on my end, I'm protecting and providing, and the one thing I ask in return is for her to obey, but that's a problem. See, that's
Well,
that's.
I didn't say it was a
Because here's the
problem.
thing. Here, let's be honest here, right? So this is what I mean when I say modern feminism poisons women. Women want a guy who's going to be a protector and a provider and a good man. But if he asks, hey, I need you to obey me in return, she'll say, I don't like that word. Why do I need to obey you? Well, you need to obey me because I'm the one that's responsible for you. So if I'm responsible for you, that means I'm supposed to have authority over you as well.
Well, if you would like to have a conversation without putting words in my mouth, where I said that I had a problem with the term like obeying people, I just said that if you want other people to agree with you, maybe find a different term that would, kind of incline people to agree. Secondly,
Well, that's the problem. People are too soft. That's the truth. We need women to obey us.
says the guy who's here complaining about women.
No, I said women need to obey men. I'm saying the problem is that we have this society where people just don't want to be honest and say what it is.
But I'm being honest and telling you that people don't like the word obey.
Okay. Oh, well.
Okay.
Like,
oh, well.
you know,
People
I
don't
find it
like
interesting, right? So a lot of people think I just talk smack to women all the time, but I actually talk more smack. Anyone that watches the show, I actually talk more smack to men. I tell them to not
that's so
be
chivalrous
fat,
of you.
not to be losers, not to be dorks. Like, I bully the guys so that they become better. And men kind of accept this. But when we say we want something in return, women don't want to follow it. So it's like women have one job and they don't even want to do that.
Well, have you considered that maybe women don't want your help?
Well, here's the thing. I'm here to help the guys out because they're the leaders. So
Well, that's fine, but
I'm very familiar with the fact that, like, women, like, if they hear a certain word, they get triggered and they can't listen to anything else. But, again, that's an inherent flaw in women because they're so emotional. But the reality is, like, as a woman, if you're in a relationship with a guy and he's doing what he's supposed to do, protect and provide for you, you need to obey him.
So wait, okay, you have a problem with women being overly emotional, yet you want them to be providers to children. That implies that there needs to be some type of emotional nurture there. So is the problem that women are too emotional or that they're not emotional enough?
No, what I'm talking about is in this context where the term obey immediately triggered you.
I'm not triggered.
Okay.
Do I look angry?
No. Well, you didn't like that term. You're like, hey, well, you know, maybe you could use a different word. It's like, no, that's what it is, obey.
I didn't say that I was bothered by the word. I was just trying to give you some advice that maybe other people would be more inclined to listen if you didn't come off so authoritative.
Well, I think that's important where we're at a crazy point right now where we just got to start being honest and not tone police and worry about certain phrases triggering people. You know, the truth hurts a lot of the times, but this is what we need to do. We've gone so far left that we're going to need a significant overcorrection. And sometimes that means using words that people might find offensive.
Okay. So, all right, I understand what you're saying, that we shouldn't, be so protective, right?
Yeah, and the other thing, too, with
But
men,
you
I've
want to
noticed.
protect women, so you don't want them to be protective.
No, what I'm saying is that with men, right, when I say the term obey, guys just get it. They don't get offended by this is actually a phenomenon I've noticed only with women. Like, when I tell guys stuff and I speak very direct, they don't care. They just consume the information. Okay, that makes sense, and move on. They're not really too concerned with how it's said or the terms that are used. But with women, a lot of the times, if I don't use certain terms or speak in a certain tone, they get offended and can't take in the information. And I think if women were a bit more receptive to the direct nature of the things I say, they'd be a lot better off because I'm very honest about it.
It sounds like men tend to obey you more than women.
Well, I mean, if they listen to what I say, they'll probably do pretty well in life, yeah.
If you want someone to obey you, why don't you just go with guys?
That's a good one.
I'm just a genuine question. Why do you care so much about women if, like, the men are listening to you just as is? You're trying to do a thing for the men, right? Do them a favor, help them out. Women aren't asking you for any help.
Yeah, no, I know that's why I focus on the guys because they're not emotionally
Then why
triggered.
are you here talking about women?
Because that is a big obstacle that a lot of guys can't fix. They can't.
Then
Basically,
why are you trying to fix it?
because if we don't have women, we don't have the nuclear family, and a lot of guys struggle with this. Now, here's the thing. I understand that you might be in a privileged position where dating and getting men to court you isn't that hard, but for average guys, it's not that easy. So
Well,
a
I
lot
don't
of guys
need
need to
anyone
learn this
court
stuff.
me. I'm not looking for that. There's more to my life than worrying about what the other sex does.
Okay, well, you have that privilege since you're a woman and the men come to you. But
They
men
don't
need to
come
figure
to
this
me.
stuff out.
I came to you to talk to you.
Again.
Did you come to me? I don't think
no,
so.
No, but this is us having a discussion here. What I'm saying is that, like, you're maybe like a
What?
3 or 4. So, like, you're going to have
Okay.
more market pull, right, than a guy that's like a 7 or an 8. You're going to have more options than the average guy. So for you, right, you're getting an abundance of options, whereas guys are not going to get that same level. So, and the other thing, too, with women is women are just simply better at dealing with the opposite gender. Men need to learn this stuff. Guys don't kind of come out understanding female nature. They have to learn this stuff either through someone teaching them or
I
through
don't think I took a
losses.
crash course on how men work.
I'm sorry?
I didn't take a crash course on how men work. Why do men need to take a crash course on women?
Because men, here's the thing, men have to build up the attraction and approach the women. They're the ones that got to make things happen. Women don't. You guys are in a privileged position where the men just come to you.
So you
But,
guys are stupid, basically.
I mean, if that's if that's the conclusion you're going to come to, I
No,
guess.
that was a question. That wasn't a conclusion. It was a question.
No, it's a learned skill that they need to develop to learn how to properly deal with women. So
Why
that
do
they
you
don't
need to
end
learn
up,
how to deal with people?
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I teach guys to avoid women like you, as a matter of fact.
Thank you. Stay away
Yeah,
from me.
yeah. Well, I don't know. You should be in the kitchen somewhere, but it's fine. We'll have this discussion. Yeah. The reality is, what was that? Yes. Probably can't cook
I've not
either.
insulted you once this entire time.
See, this is precisely the problem. Combative, assertive women that, don't want to necessarily obey or know when to, be quiet when I'm making
Who
a
the
point.
fuck are you to tell me to obey you? I'm
Yeah,
not
she's
your
really pissed.
woman. I don't need to obey you. I'm not in a relationship with you. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I don't need to obey you.
Well, you're
under
just
other
kind of just
means.
talking over me when I make my point or answer your questions or trying to, instigate some type of reaction, which is cool. I think it's funny. It's interesting. But
Well,
I
aren't
think,
you instigating a reaction
Yeah.
by being here on a campus with people who are more or less going to have different...
Well, I'm just telling the uncomfortable truth that a lot of people don't want to hear.
So it's okay for you to be instigative and combative whenever you want to share your truth, but when someone wants to give another side of the truth, you want them to be quiet and you think that they aren't obeying you.
Yes, because a man's job is to be a leader and be assertive and convey information. Women, you guys supposed to be quiet and make sandwiches. That's the difference.
You can make your own sandwich. If you need to take a crash course on how to talk to other people, you can take a crash course on how to make a fucking sandwich.
Anyway.
If you're such a strong provider,
sound,
provide!
You sound mad that, do you know how to make a sandwich?
Yeah, I do. Want me to teach you?
No, thank you. That's a woman's job.
Okay.
All right, cool.
So what do you do for a living? Genuine question. What's your job?
We get to the next person.
Why can't you answer? Why can't
I
you
think
answer
it's
what
pretty
your job
obvious
is?
what I do. I mean,
Well, it's not. I'm a stupid woman. So could you explain to me what you do as a living for your job?
okay, I'll come back to you, Ovary. Let's go to her.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
All right. So I have a couple of things. First off, throughout history, we've noticed that Western society was a lot more less developed whenever women did not have rights compared to now that women do have rights. They are inventing things such as Ada Lovelace and coding and computers. And so how would you think life would be if we never got those rights and those things were never invented?
We'd be a better society, probably.
And
Yeah.
why is that?
Well, we would have more nuclear families. We wouldn't have feminists. We wouldn't have strange progressive women that color their hair. We would just basically be better off as a society.
So you
Because
would be
the
better
reality-
with no income?
I find it
considering-
interesting that women will name 1 or 2 inventions that they've made, but almost everything that we enjoy in modernity was made by men.